What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. Today I've got a brand new Entitled Parents video for you, so sit back, relax, and let's jump straight into the first story. Mother made her 10-year-old daughter cut her hair and threw a tantrum when it wasn't good enough. I've got the pleasure of having a Karen as a mother, and you guys seem to like these stories, so here's another one. A little backstory before I begin. My mum hated me my whole life, favoring my little sister over me and mentally and physically abusing me most of my life, until I left to live with my dad. I spent a lot of my young life trying to win her affection by doing the same things my sister did, like going to pony club when I didn't really want to, until I eventually gave up and didn't care what she thought anymore. My mum is 5'8", broad-shouldered and a bit overweight, but strong from doing farm work most of her life. Needless to say, I was scared of her back then. This happened when I was 10 years old, in 2000. My mum is a huge choosing beggar and hates spending money when she doesn't have to. This includes going to a hairdresser. My sister was 7 at the time, so I was her next option for this mistake that she only made once. She came into my room and asked if I would cut her hair for her. I really didn't want to and practically begged her not to make me. But I was still in that stage of wanting her approval, so I reluctantly said yes. Big mistake. So, not knowing what I was doing, I cut her hair, and big surprise, I did a horrible job. It was salvageable if she went to the hairdresser to get it fixed, but she was too cheap and stubborn to do that. I was grounded for the rest of the week, except for going to school, and was made to do all of my sister's chores with a bit extra, such as shoveling the horse poop in the paddocks into a bucket, and carting them to the bin. Anyone who's ever smelt fresh horse poo will understand why this task was exceptionally bad, alongside any other inventive chores she could come up with. For the rest of the week, she stomped around the house saying snarky comments like, "Why can't she be like her sister? At least she would have done a better job than OP. I can't go out looking like this. If we starve, then I know whose fault it is. Oh, useless kids around here. Why don't I have enough money? Oh, I know why." Meaning it was my fault that she didn't have a job and relied on my dad's child support payments for income. It wasn't until I was 15 that I finally stood up to her and her BS, which involved a glass jar to her head. She didn't touch me again after that, and I moved in with my dad not long after. My life is much better now that I'm not in contact with her. I'm mentally stable with no long-lasting issues from her abuse. I'm more stable than my mother, and I refuse to let her break me. My sister and I are good friends now, and she hates our poor excuse for a mother just as much as I do. Yeah, this is definitely not the first story, guys, that we have seen from OP. If you've watched my past few videos, this may be like the second or third story I've covered from this account. And yeah, this one is like the others. It does not disappoint. I've got to say, though, it's pretty crazy. Like, how can you expect, well, force your kid to cut your hair and then ground them when you're disappointed with the results? Firstly, your kid is 10 years old in this story. I mean, let's be honest, you wouldn't put your 10-year-old kid in charge of most things, would you? Given that they're 10 years old, let alone having scissors near your head. That's pretty dangerous, and I'm not surprised that OP did a terrible job. They're 10 years old. I can't stress that enough. But hey, as I said the other day, it's really good to hear that you're okay and you haven't suffered too much from the abuse that your mum has put you through. It cannot have been a nice childhood, but OP, I guess it just shows that you're really strong to get through all that and, you know, live a happy life now. Now for our second story. No, mom, you cannot demand we hire your son. A few years ago, I worked at a store that dealt in used electronics. It was mostly movies, games, and pop culture merch, but we also sold a wide variety of items like cameras and headphones. It was a very popular store, due partly to the low prices and the fact that we generally paid more than our competitors for used goods. But customers also liked the atmosphere. The staff was very close-knit and management encouraged a casual approach to customer service. So not only was it a cool place to shop, it seemed like a cool place to work, which it was. This meant that during all times of the year, we were flooded with applications. We actually had a new apps box behind the counter that had to be emptied for filing once a week because it would fill up. As a retail establishment, we did have a moderate turnover, but the store was small and only had 11 to 15 people employed there at any given time, so we only occasionally picked up new hires. This didn't stop people applying, especially recent graduates who were hoping that the cool video game store could be their first job. I was working the front counter at the time the entitled mum walked in the door. This happened a while ago, so the conversation is of course paraphrased. She approached me and I smiled and greeted her. "Hi, how can I help you?" "Hi, can I speak to the manager?" "Oh, of course, but he's currently in the office on a call." He was. "Is there something I can help you with before he's available?" "My son turned in an application a month ago and he hasn't heard anything back." I say apologetically, "Oh, I'm sorry, Mom. We get a lot of applications to the point where our employment manager can't call people back if they aren't accepted for an interview. This should be mentioned on the application, but I'm sorry if your son wasn't told that. However, we keep applications on file for 6 months, so if a position opens up, we could still possibly consider him for employment." She huffed and rolled her eyes, giving me a sarcastic laugh. "That's ridiculous. Are you guys prejudiced against hiring boys or something?" I blinked at her. I was one of 2 girls employed at this location compared to 11 guys. Of the 4 people visible behind the counter, I was the only girl. "Mom, I'm one of the only girls that works here." The entitled mum seemed to notice this and began to splutter a little because she was getting flustered. She continued laughing sarcastically through her sentences. "So what are you, prejudiced against hiring hard workers?" I honestly didn't know what to say. I was trying not to laugh because it was such a weird response. "No, we just have a lot of applications and the chances of getting picked are low. It's not personal, but if you'd like to still ask the manager about it, I can go see if he's finished on the phone." The entitled mum is huffing and still laughing. "Oh, never mind, this is just ridiculous. I'm taking my business to your competitor." She stomped away. After she left, my co-workers and I just looked at each other and started laughing. We chatted about it for a while, and when the manager came back from the office, we told him about the encounter. He basically said what I said, that it was one application in a sea of many and it wasn't personal. Honestly, if you come into a store and demand that the manager hire your kid, it's probably only going to hurt their chances. Nobody wants to deal with someone's crazy parent hovering around the business all the time. Oh, OP, never has a truer word been spoken. I mean, seriously, there's one thing rejecting an application because someone's probably not good enough or you're full, but then the entitled parent coming in and complaining about it, I'm not going to want to employ that person anytime soon. Never, let's be honest. Honestly, even if the application was nearly there, even if you nearly employed them, after this whole debacle, they are getting nowhere near a job at my store, that is for sure. I just feel kind of sorry for the kid. I mean, with this mum, I don't know how good he would be in employment anyway, but still, you know, even if he was close, like what's going to happen next time he applies to a job and doesn't get it, but is, you know, put on a watch list, a waiting list, something like that? Is his mum going to do the same again and really forfeit his chances of getting any sort of job? I don't know, maybe he's going to be unemployed for the rest of his life until his mum passes away. Now moving on to our final story of today's video, entitled Mum tells a volunteer that he is fired. So, 2 years ago, when I was 13, my school asked all the students if they wanted to do volunteering for a food bank, and I said yes. On the day that I did volunteering, I was alone with the teachers at the little stand that we had, while everyone else was at the entrances of the supermarket giving bags for people to fill with food. The idea was for them to deliver the bags at the stand, but most people gave them to my friends in the entrances, so I had to go there from time to time and take them to the stand. We all had shirts saying that we were volunteers, but I had a jacket over it because it was cold. One of the times I went to one of the entrances, the shopping cart that I used to transport the bags was totally full. And when I was going back to the stand, the entitled mum gets close to me with 2 full bags of food and the conversation begins. "Here, take them." She gives me the bags. "Sorry, but my cart is full." "I don't care, take them." "Sorry, but I already told you that my cart is full. Leave the bags there with my friend." She cuts me off and starts screaming, catching everyone's attention. "I've known the manager of your company for a long time, so take my bags now or else I will get you fired." My friends who were close by started laughing at her. Now, after reading many entitled parent stories, I knew where this was going. Okay then, call him. She makes a fake call and says, "He says you are fired." But you see, See, the problem is, I take off my jacket and show her my shirt saying volunteer with big letters on my back. And then I just walk away while everyone around her laughs at her. Thank you for reading and have a nice day. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie guys, I don't really understand the entitled mum's logic here, because surely if you want someone to help out with your bags, then you fire them. Like surely at that point they can just leave. They don't work there anymore, they don't have to take your bags. So I don't really understand what the entitled mum was really going for here. And also, just because you Google the name of a company or a store, it doesn't mean you know the owner. Like, come on, we've been through this now. No one's gonna believe that. Just because you're some random person with a phone who can make a call doesn't mean you know the owner of a store. Like, what is this rubbish? Anyway guys, that is going to do it for this video. I really hope you have enjoyed it. If you did and you want more from me immediately, check out the screen right now, the end screen. There's content all around my face as per usual. Also, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't done already so you never miss out on my daily uploads. And also, yeah, you need to turn your notifications on to ensure that you get notified when I upload. With that all being said, I will see you guys tomorrow for a brand new upload. Same time, same place. I'll see you then.